there, it's Wendy coming to you from Greenhaven Garden Designs, and today I would like to share with you how you can make your very own living succulent wreath. The supplies you are going to need is a metal wreath frame. You're going to need 3 different succulents. You're going to need some succulent potting soil. Now this potting soil is a fast draining soil. You don't want to use any other type of soil when you're planting succulents, or you could get some rotted roots on them and they're not going to last you very long. Also, you are going to need a pair of nylons. Just cut one of the legs out of your nylons. And we also are going to be using some sheet moss, which we also have a pail of water here that we're going to have to soak the sheet moss in when we get started here shortly. We also have some 30-pound fishing line that we're going to use to tie our wreath all together, and so we need a pair of scissors for that fishing line. So we'll get started. The first step is we're going to take our nylon after you've cut one leg out of a pair of nylons, and we're going to start filling it, making a tube with our fast draining potting soil. Sometimes it's easier. I have my daughter Rowan here who helps at the greenhouse quite often. If you have somebody that can hold on to your nylon for you as you're filling it, and you want to get a nice, make it nice and even all the way along your tube. So we're going to work away at that. So I've gone ahead and finished filling my nylon full of potting soil, and I've just simply tied the 2 ends together to make a donut almost, and we're going to place it inside of our wreath frame, making sure that the soil is evenly distributed all the way around the frame. So the next step is we're going to tie our 30-pound fishing line onto our wreath frame, and we're going to begin fastening our nylon tube into the frame. So we just want to wrap over and under all the way around, making sure it's nice and secure. So this is the finished product of that stage. It's nice and secured in there. The soil's evenly distributed throughout. So what I'm going to ask you to do now is take it and soak this in your sink for about 10 minutes, and then we'll carry on with the next step. So now we've soaked our wreath. The soil's nice and wet, ready to begin planting. Before we start to begin planting, you're going to take your sheet moss and submerge it into a pail of water so we get it nice and moist, ready to use in our final step here. It needs to soak for a bit, so we'll just submerge all that in there, and we can set that to the side while we continue on here. So what we're going to do next is we're going to cut a hole for our succulents to fit in. So we're going to take and we're going to place our succulents, 1 in the bottom and 2 on each side. We're just going to snip a little hole in our nylon there. Might have to just pull gently, get a big enough hole that we can stuff this succulent in. So the succulents are pretty pot bound here, so we're going to remove a lot of the dirt that came with the succulent. This will help us fit it into the opening on the wreath frame easier. So once we, about that much, get that down to the root there, then we're going to insert the succulent into the opening. Make sure that we get it all tucked in there. And use a little bit of force to push that into the soil in there. And we're going to do the same on the left and the right side. And then we'll come back and use our fishing line to tie these succulents in more securely. So I've got my 3 succulents into their positions, and now I've tied a piece of the fishing wire again onto the wreath frame. And what we're going to do is just come around the root of the succulent. Be careful not to cross over any of the leaves on your plant or you will cut them off. So 1 on one side, then we're going to do 1 up tight close underneath on the other side. And we're going to do that again on both sides, just to make sure that we have it nice and secured in there for no chance of it to fall out. And then we'll be back with the next step. So now we've got all 3 of our succulents in our wreath tied in with our fishing line. So the next step will be to take our moss in pieces out of the pail, and we're going to start wrapping our wreath in the sheet moss, and we'll show you how that gets done. Okay, so here we have our sheet moss, and we're just going to take bits and pieces of it, and we're going to start covering our wreath frame all the way around the front and to the inside. We don't have to worry necessarily about the back, because your wreath is going to be against the back of the back of the frame is going to be against the door. So we'll start with about that much of a piece of moss. I've tied my fishing line onto my frame again, and the same, we're going to do the same as what we did with the nylon too, but we're going to attach that, and we're going to wrap under, bring it around the wreath frame and over the top. Just like so, back underneath and around. And we're just going to keep adding some sheet moss as we go along. Just keep following the same direction there. I like to just cut, I don't like to keep a full length of fishing line for the whole, to go around the whole frame. I just find it gets to be too much getting caught and whatnot. So I just cut it in shorter lengths, and then that way I'll just use what I have until I run out, and then I tie it off onto my frame and I add the next piece of fishing line to it, and it just makes it a little more manageable. So I'm getting short. Leave enough so that you can tie it off and you have enough length there to start the next piece onto it. You want to make sure when you wrap this, you're pulling the nylon thread tight. You want it to be nice and secure, covering that frame so nothing shifts. Okay, so we've gradually made our way down to the first succulent. So this is where it gets a little bit tricky here. You're wanting to tuck the sheet moss in close underneath the succulent there. Just making sure that also that you don't cut into your succulent with the fishing line there. So we're just tucking in underneath. We're going to come back around. Moss there. Tuck this in underneath again. Then come around that side with your fishing line. So once again, you want to get nice and close, but you don't want to get your fishing line across your succulent and cut some of the leaves off. And I need to add a new piece of fishing wire on here and head towards my second succulent, and then again to the third, and finish wrapping all the way around. So the pieces I'm using are probably, you know, if you just grab a handful and position it around the wreath frame like so, and then just have that fishing wire handy to come over top of it, and just keep adding as you go along. So here we have it. This is your finished product. We've got everything secured in there quite nicely. So now what we're going to do is we're going to lay it flat for a couple of weeks. Let everything get rooted well before we hang our wreath. We want it to dry out really good, get well rooted. And then the secret to maintaining these is you're going to take your wreath down after you're able to hang it, after your 2 weeks waiting period. When you hang it and it's time for it to be watered, you're going to take it down, you're going to lie it flat on the ground. Soak it with your hose on like a soaker setting. Leave it for about 20 minutes to 30 minutes before you rehang it. Okay? So there we have it. All your supplies are pretty basic. We had your succulents that can be purchased at your local garden center. We have your sheet moss that can be purchased at Michael's, your fishing line, your moisture control potting soil. They can be purchased at your local hardware store. So yeah, good luck, and I hope everyone gets busy and gets one of these unique wreaths made for their door.